My life's a mess, don't know what to do. But every storm's a chance to break through. It's time to rise, to stand my ground, to chase my dreams and turn it all around. It's time for a change, time to set me free. Stay self-aware, resilient as can be. Life's a fight, but I'm here to save. Put on your helmet, we're paving the way. We're paving the way.
Welcome back to Life's a Bitch, Get a Helmet. This is Fry. Today's episode is going to be a hard one for me. I'll be sharing some personal stories that are about failure, leadership, and growth. The kind of growth that only comes from brutal self-reflection, hard lessons, and time. I'm going to take you back to a moment that's etched into my memory. A failure that has haunted me for years. But more importantly, I'll walk you through how I rebuilt myself as a leader. The hard truths I had to accept, and the moment I finally knew I had changed. If you've ever been in a position where you doubted yourself as a leader, if you've carried past failures like dead weight, or you've ever struggled to step up when it mattered most, this one's for you. Before we do, let's take a minute and talk about Stella Blues.
Let me give a quick shout out to Stella Blues Vapors. They have been my go-to vape shop for years now. I've made stops at other vape shops. No offense to them. My home is Stella's. So if you need equipment, you need some tanks, you broke your glass, burnt your coil, or just need some really premium juice, head on down to Fenton to Stella Blues and tell them Fry sent you.
Let's get back to the show. One of the most vivid memories I have as a leader is the time I nearly derailed a mission. All because I left the gate, missing 2 personnel. During our second tour, we were conducting EPIT missions, Enhanced Police Transition Team missions. Our job was to work with the local Iraqi police commanders, assisting their police stations, training Iraqi police on tactics, and providing guidance on leadership and operations. A typical mission went like this: 2-hour prep prior to mission. Prep your trucks, prep your gear, conduct PCCs, PCIs, conduct your mission brief. Once everyone loads up in the trucks, head out to the front gate. When you get to the front gate, you call it in. You have a 30-minute window while you wait on your Iraqi counterparts to arrive so you can be escorted through the city. Once we arrived at the district level police station, we would sit down with the commander, ask questions, see where we could help. But here's the problem. We had 4 days of training for this mission. 4. When we arrived, I expected we'd be working alongside the local police. Maybe even living at the stations, rotating out, providing security, and integrating with their operations. That wasn't the case. Instead, we were sent to work at district level stations, a completely different mission than what we had trained. On top of that, our RIP process For those of you that don't know, RIP, Relief in Place. It was a mess. I was a young E5, shadowing an older, more experienced NCO. He understood the mission better than I did. But instead of setting me up for success, it felt like I was being handed a bag of flaming shit and told, here you go, try not to step on it. I had to figure it out on my own. So we're on a normal day of missions. I had already conducted the mission brief, PCCs, PCIs, final checks before rolling out. Hopped in the trucks, headed to the front gate. Arrived at the front gate. We were just sitting there, waiting on our escorts. I don't know why, but that day I decided to walk each truck. Hopped out. We have 360 security. We're right at the front gate. We've got security behind us. We're fine. So I walked each truck, and that's when I realized it. Our interpreters weren't with us. That moment is burned into my memory. Not just because of the mistake itself, but because of the questions it left me. Why didn't I notice? How could I have let this happen? Could I have prevented it? Did I just fail my team? That day, I felt like the biggest failure in the world. Stupid, incompetent, useless. Like everything I had trained for is meaningless. Now, I could have made excuses. The vehicles were always breaking down. The radios always had an issue. There were always glow plugs burning out in the Rhino. I could have blamed anything or anyone but myself. But that's not who I am. I was a squad leader, which, from my perspective, meant every decision and action, good or bad, was mine to own. So when it came time to report back to the talk, I was dumbstruck. And I was asking those same questions in my head. So I didn't sugarcoat it. Hey you, this is me. Apparently I forgot my interpreters. I owned it. I owned it. But that didn't make it hurt any less. But here's the part that stuck with me later. The hard truth. I wasn't the only person responsible for this mistake. My team leaders could have spoken up. They knew we didn't have our interpreters. They saw it. They couldn't miss it. They could have said, hey, Sergeant Fry, we don't have our terps. But they didn't. Why? Maybe they were hesitant because I'd been second guessing myself too much. Maybe they thought it wasn't their place to correct me. Maybe they just assumed I had everything under control. Maybe they wanted me to fail. Either way, the fact that nobody said anything showed me something important. As a leader, I need to create an environment where people feel comfortable calling things out. Because silence costs us. A team that doesn't speak up when something is wrong is a team that's heading towards failure. And then there was my platoon sergeant. He was a good NCO. He knew his job, had experience. And looking back, he wasn't a mentor. He never took the time to develop me, to teach me how to lead. I was learning leadership through mistakes, not through guidance. And honestly, that's not how it should be. A leader's job isn't just to know their role. It's to grow their people. The best leaders don't just lead missions. They create leaders. That's something I had to figure out on my own. But once I did, I promised myself, scratch that. I gave my word to myself that I would never lead that way. That realization, that's what made the next moment hurt even more. After that mission, I couldn't shake the feeling that I had let my team down. But as I reflected on it later, I realized something that hit even harder. The real problem wasn't just that I forgot my interpreters. It was that I'd been set up to fail from the beginning. Because if I'm being honest, I truly didn't understand my role in this mission. I didn't feel trained. I didn't feel ready. And when you feel lost as a leader, your team feels it too. And that led me to an even bigger realization. I've been on 2 combat tours, both to Iraq. Similar areas, actually. On my first deployment, we trained hard. We spent 62 days in the field at Moab Station before we ever set foot overseas. By the time we got to Iraq, we were ready for any mission thrown at us. Any. Convoy operations. We knew how to move, react to contact, and execute under pressure. Area security. We could secure perimeters, identify threats, and control the area. We did a short class on PSD teams. We would sporadically do those trainings while we were in country. We understood how to protect high-value personnel and execute tight movements. Towers, gate security, we manned checkpoints, control entry, and responded to threats efficiently. Room clearing. We trained for close quarters combat, understood how to move as a unit, and knew how to control the structure. You name it, we were ready for it. Because we had training for everything, we had confidence in our skills, our team, and our leadership. That first deployment, I trusted myself. I knew what to do, when to do it, and when to step up and lead the team. I knew my shit. But my second deployment? We had 4 days in the field. 4. Instead of embedding with Iraqi police, we were suddenly working at the district leadership level, dealing with higher ranking officials, bureaucratic roadblocks, and a completely different mission focus. We weren't being police officers alongside them. We weren't securing their stations. We weren't training them the way we expected. Instead, we were showing up once a week, asking questions, handing over a packet that had to be filled out by the end of the month, so that way at the end of the month I could pick it up and turn it back into my higher-ups. It's not what I trained for. That's not what I expected. And I had no idea how to lead a team through that. When you don't understand your role, your leadership suffers. When your leadership suffers, your team feels it. I started second-guessing everything. I didn't know exactly what my commander wanted of me. I didn't know if I was executing the mission correctly. I didn't know if I was setting my team up for success or failure. And that level of uncertainty, it's dangerous. Instead of focusing on leading my squad, I essentially started micromanaging everything. Instead of delegating to my team leaders, I was trying to handle it all by myself. Instead of empowering my team, I was suffocating them because I didn't trust myself enough to let it go. Looking back, I can see it. I see it clearly. A good squad leader trusts his people and gives them responsibilities. He builds them up. Bad squad leader tries to do it all himself because in his mind, that's safer than letting someone else mess it up. Sadly, that's exactly what I was doing. I wasn't a bad leader, but I was leading from fear, not confidence. And my team, they could see it. They weren't speaking up when something was wrong. They weren't stepping in when I missed something. They weren't saying, "Hey, Sergeant Fry, we don't have our terps." It's not because they didn't care. I lost their trust. I lost their trust for them to feel like they could. And that brings me to another hard truth. I never had a real mentor during that deployment. When a leader isn't developed properly, they start making avoidable mistakes, like forgetting interpreters before rolling out on mission. I didn't realize it at the time, but what I really needed someone to say, "Look, this mission isn't what you trained for, but here's how you need to adapt. Here's what success looks like. Here's how to lead your squad through uncertainty." Instead, I was left to figure it out alone. While doing that, figuring it out on my own made me stronger in the long run. It also made me realize something critical. Good leadership isn't just about knowing your job. It's about growing your people. If my platoon sergeant had mentored me, if I had known how to develop my team instead of just managing them, maybe that moment at the front gate never would have happened. For years, I carried that deployment like a weight on my shoulders. I couldn't shake the feeling that I had let my team down. The best thing I could say was that everyone came home with all their fingers and toes. They came back alive. And at the same time, I spent years replaying my failures, the moments I second-guessed myself, the mistakes I made, the time I should have spoken up but didn't. And I thought I had to come to terms with it. Until years later, I found myself standing at a bar, drinking a long-necked bottle of Bud Light at a reunion. One of my old team leaders from that deployment had set up a gathering, a chance for us to catch up, swap stories, just enjoy each other's company again. And for the most part, that's exactly what it was. But my old platoon sergeant, someone I once admired, turned to me and casually dropped a comment that frankly hit me like a punch in the gut. Your guys questioned whether they'd even save you if you got kidnapped. Took a sip of my beer, made sure my face didn't give anything away, looked him right in the eye. Yeah, I know. And turned away, pretending to watch the game on the TV. Because like hell, I was going to let him see that affect me. Not after 3 years of growth. Because the truth is, I did know. Doesn't mean I'm proud of it. But I acknowledge the old me. I was already working on becoming a better leader, a better person. But that comment, it was also the moment I realized something else. I had put the wrong people on pedestals. I thought this was one of the leaders I should have learned from. But looking back, it wasn't true. Because a true leader would have seen the struggle I was going through and helped me grow from it. And that's when I started looking at how I actually grew. I walked away from that reunion feeling a strange mix of emotions. On one hand, I had already accepted the past. I knew I had made mistakes. I had spent years reflecting on them. But on the other hand, that comment made me realize just how much I had changed. Because if that had been me right after deployment, I would have let that comment break me. I would have let it confirm every doubt, every insecurity, every failure I had obsessed over. Now, I saw it for what it was. It wasn't about my past. It was about how I had grown since then. And here's how I did it. After that deployment, I knew I had two choices. Keep drowning in self-doubt and let my past failures define my future. Or do the work. Figure out what kind of leader I wanted to be and start making the necessary changes. I chose the second option. I started my own personal after-action reviews. I took every mistake I had made and broke it down. What went wrong? What could I have done differently? How do I prevent this next time? That helped. But it wasn't enough. Because no matter how much I realized my own actions, I still felt like I was missing something. By the end of the first year, I realized I needed more than my own perspective. I needed the hard truth from other people who had been there with me. I needed to know how others saw me as a leader. And that meant asking for brutal honesty. Self-reflection only takes you so far. At a certain point, you need an outside perspective. Someone to hold up a mirror and show you the things you can't see yourself. So I made a decision. I needed the outside input. I needed the brutal honesty. And I needed it from people who were actually there with me. Not just the ones who would be nice about it. Not from the ones who would sugarcoat the truth. I needed the ones who had seen me at my worst. So during drill weekends or annual trainings, whenever time allowed, I'd pull aside a group of 2 or 3 and I'd lay it out for them. Look, I'm doing some work. I want to do an AAR about me from you. I wasn't the greatest leader back then. But I need to know what you saw. What I could have done better. And I need you to be straightforward with me. At first, they were hesitant. They didn't want to be mean. They didn't want to tear me down. Some of them said, "Nah, I'm good, Sergeant." And then they'd follow it up with things like, "Sergeant Fry, you were reliable. We could always talk to you. You'd listen. You always tried to help any way you could." I mean, don't get me wrong, that's nice to hear. I need that affirmation. Everyone does. But that's not what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for comfort. I was looking for growth. So I pushed harder. No, really. Tell me the truth. Where can I improve? I can take your answers. I know you don't want to be mean. This isn't about being mean. This is about being straightforward with me. Here's what I saw. This is how I think you could have handled it. Maybe you could try that in the future. And then once they understood and became more comfortable with the questions, I received answers. It sucked. definitely sucked. But I noticed that they were confirming the same things I was seeing. And then there were a handful of things outside my vision. And as internally hurt as it felt, I felt excited that I was doing this, that I was taking these steps. And then that's when the real work began. Through these conversations, I had learned some hard but necessary truths. Self-awareness is only one step. You don't know what you don't know. The best feedback isn't always easy to hear. But if you take it personally instead of constructively, you'll never grow. Good leaders ask for input. Great leaders act on it. So I started testing new approaches. I stopped micromanaging. I started delegating. Made sure my team leaders felt empowered to step up. I checked on my leadership habits, making sure I was leading with confidence, not insecurity. I took what worked and kept adjusting based on real feedback, not just my own assumptions. And slowly, I started to see the difference. My team leaders and their teams responded better to me. I was more confident in my leadership. I wasn't the same leader I had been before. Then came the moment when I knew, without a doubt, I had definitely grown. A moment where I didn't have to question whether my leadership had improved because someone else saw it. And without even realizing it, they confirmed it for me. By the third year, I had done the work. The personal AARs, the brutal feedback, the constant rebuilding of my leadership mindset. And then came my annual training. We were running missions just like we did downrange. Convoy ops, KLEs, PSDs, search and cordon, vehicle recovery drills, civil disturbance operations. Like, we were doing it. And I was enjoying it. The joy in my heart and my body and my soul, it was there again. Because I was doing what I loved to do. It was familiar. But this time I wasn't the same leader I'd been before. And the moment for me that defined everything was I had just come back with my squad from running a mission. Ass Crack of Dawn did, I think we ran a 16-hour mission, or it's been a while. But I was sitting there in the talk, finishing up my post-mission brief, sitting across the table from the commander, when he yelled out to the group, "Hey, I need a team to spin up and start getting ready to conduct civil disturbance at the front gate." Silence. It was quiet. All you could hear were the trucks in the background, the other talks around ours, chitter-chattering. Nobody said a word. I waited. I wanted to see if anyone else would step up. Because I was tired. My team was tired. We just got back off mission. It's 09 in the morning or something. We're spent. Then he said it again. "Hey, I need a team to step up. Spin up a team. Start doing civil disturbance training. We're supposed to be doing civil disturbance at the front gate." I sat there. I paused. I didn't hesitate, but I did pause. Is anyone else going to say anything? And I thought to myself, like hell, I'm gonna let this man say it for a third fucking time. I'll do it, sir. He looked at me. Are you sure? Without hesitating. Yes, sir. I got it. The only thing I ask is that my guys get at least 4 hours of rest. We just got back off mission. After that, I'll get them up and we'll start running drills. And that was it. No speech, no praise. Just a smile and a nod. That kind of nod that says, I see you. The kind of nod that tells you everything without a single word. That was all I needed. No validation, no recognition, just proof. Proof that I had done the work, and it was finally showing. My commander saw it. My team saw it. And for the first time in years, I saw it in myself. I got to work immediately. I updated my team leaders, making sure they informed their soldiers before they got too comfortable. I started securing equipment, gear from other units. I asked questions, not just about how to train civil disturbance, but about real-life experiences from those who had actually done it. I know civil disturbance, but it's been years since I've trained on it, so I needed that knowledge and experience from others. I was lucky the unit I deployed with on my first deployment was actually there with us. And I used that as a chance to learn from them. By the time I laid my head down to get a couple hours of rest, I thought back to the scene in the tent. Me sitting across from my commander, volunteering without hesitation. And I knew the struggling squad leader from Iraq, he wasn't here anymore. My commander had seen the old me. And now he saw the growth. And that meant something. But here's the thing. I still have a long way to go. I wish I could say this was the moment I became the perfect leader. That I never struggled again. That I never questioned myself. That I never reverted back to old habits. That's not how this works. I still catch myself falling back into old patterns. Micromanaging when I don't trust the situation. Second-guessing myself when I feel out of my depth. Trying to carry more than I should instead of delegating. More times than I'd like to admit, I've had to guide myself back out. But the lessons I've gained, each time it gets easier. I can pinpoint the triggers sooner. I can recognize when I'm slipping into old habits. And because of that, I can be more proactive about fixing it before it spirals. That's growth, not perfection, not an endpoint. Just awareness and progress, one decision at a time.
So here's my challenge to you. What's the moment you're waiting for? There's work you've been wanting to do on yourself. So what's stopping you? You don't know where to start? Okay. Then maybe you try my steps. Just 3. Conduct an AAR on yourself. Conduct an external AAR on yourself. And then implement your actions. When you conduct an AAR on yourself, consider this. You've been beating yourself up about it already. But have you taken actual steps to make sure it doesn't happen again? You can't change the past, but you can change the future. So ask yourself, what was supposed to happen? What did happen? Where could I improve? And most importantly, what do I need to do to sustain? Where are my sustains? What are the good things I've been doing that I can keep doing? But most importantly, what are the good things I've been doing? It's just as important to understand the good as it is the bad. You are giving yourself props for the good things you've been doing. So do that. Once you've conducted your internal AAR, it's time to switch gears and start asking the same question, but don't just answer them alone. Go to the people who have been there with you, the ones who will be brutally honest with you. Find the ones who will give you constructive feedback, not just dump on you to make you feel worse. Take all that information in, yours, theirs, and then start implementing small changes. I'll be honest, this step is hard, but keep it small. You want gradual progression over time, not instant perfection. And remember, this takes time. When I started, it took 3 years for me to see the improvement I wanted. I saw small changes as I went. But that moment, sitting in front of my commander at that annual training, when my commander gave me his unspoken approval, that was the moment I knew. I knew others were seeing it too. 3 years. And that was just for me. So start slow. Start small. You got this. You can do it. As we wrap up this episode, let's take a minute to reflect. Growth is not a straight path. It's messy. It's uncomfortable. Leadership isn't about getting it right the first time. It's not about getting it right every time. It's about learning from the times you didn't. In real change, it doesn't happen in the big, loud moments. It happens in the quiet ones, when no one's watching you, and you decide to be better anyway. And so my challenge, what's the moment you're waiting for? What's holding you back from becoming the leader, the person you want to be? Because at the end of the day, no one is going to hand you growth. No one is going to tell you you've arrived. It's on you to make those small changes. It's on you to do the hard work. It's on you to step up, even when it's uncomfortable. So the next time the room is silent, next time no one else raises their hand, ask yourself, am I going to wait? Or am I going to step the hell up? Because that decision, that's what separates good leaders from great leaders. Thanks for joining me today. I hope that today's story and reflection of mistakes, leadership, and my growth resonate with you. Stay self-aware, stay resilient, and as always, life's a bitch. Get a helmet.
Boundaries are set, dreams in sight. With every step I'm winning the fight. Life's a bitch, but I'm holding tight. Join the journey, let's ignite. It's time for a change, time to set me free. Stay self-aware.